Hello everyone, this is Pal Ponder on Weather. In this update, we've got a very amplified pattern with daily severe weather chances as we end April heading into May, as it looks to be very active. Good morning everyone, how's it going out there? We had a lot to cover this morning, so let's kind of delve into the details and take a look at the overall setup for the next couple of days. And from the Storm Prediction Center, we've got daily storm chances out there. Going to be setting up with a very active dry line today, but I think it really starts to get active over the Central Plains going into your Friday time frame, and then we just have troughs after troughs going to be setting in off the coming in from the west, giving us more chances for severe weather as we end April and heading into May. So but this morning there's been several spots, it's been pretty chilly. A lot of areas down south is probably going to be experiencing their coolest morning really until the next 6 months. So we're getting to that time of year at the end of April here that you don't really get these cool mornings like this. So a lot of these areas down further south where they did experience those cooler conditions probably ain't gonna be seeing that again for another 6 months. But up to the north, it's just a different story because the cold air continues to hang on with widespread 20s and 30s this morning. I mean, some of these areas were in fact kind of near record low temperatures in portions of Wisconsin into Michigan here. But as we walk you through for today, so we've got an active dry line that's really going to be starting setting up into the heated afternoon. Out here in West Texas, you can see this little trough out here, this little boundary here. Out to the further out, we still have some very active critical fire dangers. That's going to be prevalent as this dry line continues to move further east as we get through the week. But yeah, this afternoon, we're concerned about some daily storm chances that are going to be headed off at portions of West Texas and to portions of New Mexico here as this dry line starts to get active in the heat of the afternoon. But the rest of the country, today is more or less the more quieter type period, but that just really amplifies as we get into tomorrow, going into your Thursday with this triple point right here along the dry line again. You see the critical fire dangers continue to push further off and further east, now setting up over a good chunk of New Mexico here. But the main concern is right along this dry line with this warm front continuing to lift further north, and as it does and makes clash with this upper trough, that's going to be setting the stage for more rounds of severe weather along the dry line here again. So we should be seeing some more setups for possibly some stronger thunderstorms in the heat of the afternoon, as we just have these daily systems with much cooler conditions out here in the Pacific Northwest, where all the colder conditions are kind of well to the north, the northern portions of this boundary where this cold front is. And then along the warm front here, there's the warm sector, and this is the area of concern that as this upper trough is going to be getting a little bit closer, that's going to provide the lift that's needed, and that's going to set the stage for a more active time frame, especially as we go into your Friday afternoon, Friday evening time frame with this negatively tilting trough. As soon as it hits the plains, right now this surface low will develop here, and as it does, that's going to kick off all three modes of severe weather. So we're definitely concerned about severe storms and very large hail with that cold air aloft in and around the Central Plains. In fact, the Storm Prediction Center has already upgraded to an enhanced risk for severe weather up here into portions of Kansas here. But along that boundary up here into Oklahoma, yeah, we're going to be dealing with those very large hailstones. That's the atmosphere would be capable, but there's a lot of lift in the atmosphere, a lot of instability. So you're talking places into the Oklahoma City area, back into Tulsa, Oklahoma, going into Wichita. Those are the kind of the bullseye areas of seeing some of those larger hailstones. That'll extend all the way down. I think there's going to be a strong cap into portions of, say, North Texas, where it's more or less a conditional risk, just a very, very slight chance if you have one or two storms that could break, could be on the severe side with those larger hailstones. But the main activity is going to be in Oklahoma, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, especially heading into Kansas, right along that triple point. So definitely be on high alert as we get into the heat of the afternoon and the evening time frame, because the air is going to be rotating as well. There's going to be a lot of shear in the atmosphere, so tornadoes is another concern along this area into portions of Kansas, getting into Oklahoma. So yes, we've got all three modes of severe weather going to be on the table, and all that the EHI in electricity index is also fairly significant as well. So you have a lot of instability combined with the shear. That's going to create the lift in the atmosphere with that upper trough that's going to be digging in around that surface low. That's going to be setting the stage for rounds of severe weather breaking out right along ahead of the dry line here into Kansas, into Oklahoma, and into the heat of the afternoon. So I will more than likely probably be going live during this setup to keep you as safe as possible, be tracking these storms as they continue to come to fruition in the heat of the afternoon. Because by about 4 o'clock, it looks to be on the flash index, storms will be elongating into northwest portions, northwest of the DFW Metroplex, getting into central Oklahoma, heading through central Kansas, and even into portions of Nebraska. Could reach as far as Nebraska, but the main setup would be into portions of Kansas and heading into the Oklahoma area. But an overall snapshot, you got that severe weather in the midsection of the country that could extend all the way as far south as, say, as the Wichita Falls, but the main setup is going to be Oklahoma and to Kansas and portions of Nebraska. But out to just to the east of that, we could be looking at some heavier rains going to be setting up in portions of Missouri. But there's also another bullseye up here into portions of Nebraska into the Dakotas as well, with some heavier rains, and even out into Montana, not snow, but rain heading in for them. And some that could be on the heavier side as we get into your Friday afternoon, say Thursday, Friday afternoon. But the winds come back too. So it's been a very windy month for a lot of us out there, and we're still going to be dealing with those winds, unfortunately. And I think they come back in a big way with that upper trough going to be digging back into the Central Plains on Thursday and Friday, heading into Saturday. So after today, it's going to be a very windy week for the rest of the week, as these systems will be moving across and dumping those 30, 40, 50, 60 mile per hour wind gust at times. So I would expect more numerous wind advisories in place for the next several days after this. But yeah, it's all about the surface lows right here. This is by Saturday, so this is the map by Saturday. So as we continue to move across, we had those storms into Oklahoma. This cold front actually sinks through North Texas and sets up shop into Central Texas, and then it stalls, and we could be looking at some more storms in portions of Central Texas. But it's all this sector here with the warm front, and that boundary here as we get into that Saturday time frame. That would be more concerns right along these boundaries where these warm fronts and cold fronts lie. That's going to be where the storm chances will fly into the heat of the afternoon again on Saturday time frame into your April the 30th time frame. That's going to be pushing through North Texas. So again, a strong cap in portions of North Texas. But as we get into Central Texas, along that boundary there, some of those storms could be on the stronger side variety, getting into portions of Louisiana, heading into Arkansas, heading into portions of Missouri and through Illinois by the end of the heat of the afternoon, right ahead of that warm front. And there, the Storm Prediction Center has highlighted another slight risk for severe weather, even kind of this far out into portions of St. Louis, heading into portions of Indiana here. So this is kind of the main bullseye, and this will probably get expanded as we get a little bit closer to this time frame. But you can see it's definitely going to be an active time ahead with these multiple troughs coming in, because again, by Sunday, we have yet another significant upper level low that's going to be coming in off the west and headed in. And as it turns, it's going to be turned negative tiltedly again, and out ahead of it, that's going to be providing the lift, to create more chances for severe weather. So now the bullseye is going to be setting up shop over portions of West Texas, and they've been actually bone dry. So this actually might not be a bad deal. Unfortunately, it's going to come with some severe weather. But yeah, we could be looking at supercell thunderstorms into the day, into portions of your Sunday time frame, into portions of Lubbock, into Abilene, into Midland with this upper trough. And we're still working out the timing of this upper trough, because it looks to be, as it continues to move across again into the heat of the afternoon, into the later evening hours, where you're looking at more storms forming right along this dry line here and getting really active as we head into the heat of the afternoon, and right along this boundary out to the just to the north of there, I mean, that's where all the cold air is going to be. So all the in the warm sector, that's where it's going to be main and active. And May is, you know, a lot of areas as we start May, you're talking it's going to be one of your wettest months of the year. So yeah, it's not out of the ordinary that you see multiple days and daily storm chances at least somewhere in the United States, because it's just a very active time frame for May as we're heading into peak season for severe weather. But yes, depending on the actual timing of this trough that's going to be setting up into your Sunday, Monday time frame will determine the storm chances going into portions of, say, North Texas. Here's the setup for Monday. Again, this could be, you know, a late night Sunday into the overnight threat on Monday. But either way, we're looking at more severe storms potentially over portions of North Texas by then, heading back into the Oklahoma City area with another round of severe weather that could be on the table by then. And then yet again, we have another trough that's going to be digging out into portions out west. You can see the surface low. That's a pretty deep surface low. This is on Tuesday, May the 3rd. So again, we just have daily chances that'll just continue all the way through the early part of next week as we have another significant trough that's going to be moving in and bringing more chances for severe weather. But you can actually see where the cold air and where the warm temperatures are going to be. It stays fairly warm, you know, warmer than average for our southern tiers to end April. But as we start May for those first 5 days, it's actually even more above average for a good chunk of the South and the Central Plains and to portions of the Southeast. But all the cold air is just pretty much locked in the same areas that you've seen in the good chunk of April. And heading into May, that really doesn't change. So you got a good swath into portions of the Dakotas, into portions of the upper Midwest here, back into Illinois, and portions of Missouri here are going to be seeing below average temperatures, a good maybe 10 degrees on average, below average temperatures to kind of start your May timeframe from, say, May 2nd to your May 7th timeframe. So it's going to be a chilly start, and those cooler conditions going to continue to hang on just a little bit longer for our northern sections. But as we move through and kind of give you a snapshot of where we are, you know, for the overall next 10 days on our precipitation anomalies, we can actually see the atmospheric river going to be inundating into portions of the Pacific Northwest, Northern California. A lot of the same areas that have been experiencing a lot of the rain lately is going to be still experiencing more rain coming up for the next overall 10 days, as the dry slot will continue to remain over portions of Southern California into the desert Southwest. I think Tucson just hit their first day of 100-degree temperature just yesterday. So it's already starting out there. And once it starts, you know, it's there's no end in sight, because summer is just around the corner after we end May. But between now and then, we've got a fairly wet month historically on the table and a fairly stormy month. So things are going to be changing daily on a daily basis. But over the next 10 days, this is where the main setup is going to be for some of the heavier rains that could be over portions of the upper Midwest, through the Central Plains, and over the portions of the Missouri Valley here. So hey, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely hit the subscribe button if you hadn't already, and catch me in the next update where I protect you before and after the storm.